What's going on, guys? Welcome to another camera comparison. It's a blind camera shootout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 photos. I'm not going to tell you which one's which. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to decide which one is the best in your opinion, and then you'll see which photo was taken with which phone. Anyway, right now you're hearing the audio from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now you're hearing the audio from the new Sony Xperia 1 Mark 6. And now you're hearing the audio from the Google Pixel 8 Pro. Which video quality looks the best to you and which mic sounds the best? Let me know in the comments. And now let's take a look at the first photo.
Okay, now you know the rules of the game. Trust your eyes. Now here's my observations on this one. Normally, when there's a strong backlight in an image, your smartphones will try to use AI to brighten up the foreground, and in this case the face on this Groot, so that it's visible. But in doing this, at the same time, it's trying to contain those bright highlights in the background. And as you can see, all 3 photos do this pretty well, although the photo on the right seems to have arguably done the best in regards to bringing out details on the face, followed by the photo on the left. Now in terms of color, I had to double check this, and the best way to figure this out was to compare it to the actual color of the wood on the floor. And the most accurate natural wood tones to me is the photo on the left. Saying that, the overall image does look a bit too warm, and the center photo is just a tiny bit too green. Anyway, now it's your turn. Let me know what you think. Alright, now the macro photo, and this is a tiny flower. It's literally just a few millimeters wide, although it looks massive here. So we've got 3 very different styles of images. The photo on the left has this very shallow depth of field. The background is obliterated in blur, which I think looks really good. It's very impressive how it's nailed the details right there on the little stems on the plants. And you can even see the pollen on those. And also the edge detail around the petals at the back look very good. The center phone has locked focus on the base of the flower, and I did try to get closer to this to match the other 2 photos, but it wouldn't lock on focus at any closer than this. And the picture on the right has also locked onto the base of the flower and also shows great detail, but there is a lot of blur around the edges of the petals, so I feel the other 2 photos look a bit better. But what about you? What do you think? Okay, portrait mode. This is where the phones will use AI to add that blurry background effect. And there's no doubt here that the sharpness and contrast are very different in the center photo. However, there is a bit of a lens flare or some kind of digital artifacting going on just towards the top of the image. The photo on the right has done a good job of skin tones, but it's quite a misty photo. And I did clean the lens, if you're wondering, so that's not what's caused it. And the blur on this one is nice. The photo on the left, yes, the dog did decide to drop kick me mid photo, which is why I'm pulling that face. The skin tones here are pretty nice, but maybe a little bit oversaturated. And it's also got a bit of that misty effect going on, but overall it's a good photo. If I had to pick one, I think I know what it would be, but more importantly, which one looks the best to you? Okay, this photo was shot with the ultra wide, and there's some big differences here. The center photo isn't quite as wide as the other 2, but it does have natural colors, and the brightness looks very good too. The photo on the right has very vivid colors and lots of contrast, and the photo on the left looks good, but maybe a little bit too dark in comparison. Oh, and here's a little reminder for you guys. It's nearly time for the annual barbecue review video, and no joke, I have a barbecue with app support this year. So that should be a fun one to make. Keep an eye out for it. Make sure you subscribe, notifications on for when that goes live. Anyway, what did you think of the ultra wides? Alright, this one's a 3.5x zoom from the same spot, and the blue flower in this photo was swaying a little bit with the breeze. and the camera on the left just would not focus on it. I tried several times, but it just would not lock onto it. It just kept fixing on that leaf behind. The center phone grabbed the focal point perfectly and wouldn't let go. And the colors there, in my opinion, are spot on. And the colors are also very good on the photo on the right. I'm actually finding it hard to decide which one of these two looks best. So which one do you think looks best? Now here's exactly the same photo, 7.1x zoom from the same spot, and it's the same story here pretty much. Couldn't grab focus on the left photo despite my several attempts, and the middle and the right are very closely contested. So it's a close one to call, so you decide. Okay, here is the dog. Finally sitting still after terrorizing me for most of the day. Anyway, because she has dark fur, it can be very challenging to get a good photo of this dog. In terms of color accuracy, I don't think any of the phones have nailed it perfectly. It's somewhere between the photo on the left and the photo on the right. The center photo for me is just a bit too cool in color tone, but the details there are very good. This is definitely a tough one, so let's zoom in and get a closer look. Alright, here's my homemade barbecue peri-peri chicken with some salad and tzatziki. Sometimes phone AI can recognize food, and when it does, it usually turns up the color saturation, and I think that's what we're seeing here on the left and right images. However, the phone on the left seems to have focused a bit further back into the image, which isn't ideal for this kind of photo. In terms of the details, it's between the center photo and the one on the right. Which one do you like the look of better? Okay, so here's a little disclaimer for this low light segment. It's going to be very brief. At the time of this video, the Xperia 1 Mark VI isn't even out yet and it's still running the pre-release software. So there's no official night mode or even pro video mode just yet. That's all coming in an update after release. So I'm kind of waiting for that before I do a more in-depth night shootout with the Xperia phone. But just so we can see what it can do right now, here's some samples. Now, even though this looks quite well lit, it was actually pretty damn dark, and I couldn't even see the details on the back of the shotgun mic with my own eyes. But the phones can, so let's see which one can see those details the best. This is a solar power night light in the garden, and to keep this one very brief, the center photo missed the focus, or it did a longer exposure and my hand must have shook a little bit. That could have caused the blur. The photo on the right, although nice and sharp, has crushed a lot of those details around the light itself, which you can see in the other two images. And then the image on the left seems to have done the best overall. Good details. It's managed to contain the actual light itself whilst keeping the details around it. So this one looks the best to me, but can you guess which phone it is? And in this one, it was a little bit of light coming through the windows behind me, so it wasn't pitch black. The colors look quite cool in the center photo, too warm in the photo on the right, and somewhere between the two in the image on the left. Let's zoom into this one and get a closer look at those details in this low light setting before making a final decision. So what did you guys think? How did you score it? Which phone won on your score sheet? And let me ask you a question. Did the Xperia's new auto mode impress you? Was it better than you expected? Or do you think it still needs some fine tuning? And if you want to see a more in-depth camera comparison after the official release and camera updates on the Xperia, let me know what phones you'd like to see it compared to, and I'll do my best to make that video for you guys in the future. And if you want to see the Xperia 1 Mark VI in some more iconic London settings, I did take this phone out into London at the crack of dawn to see what it could do. And that one was also kind of a semi-blind test. That video is on screen right now, and if you want to check out my review, that's also on screen right now. Appreciate you guys for watching this one. If you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.